Hello and welcome to yet another podcast episode. I wasn't supposed to say that, but we will just go for that intro this time. But welcome to another podcast episode. This is the backlinking podcast. I have another name I just wanted to test out, and that is backlinking, a PKM podcast. So let me know if you're watching on YouTube or listening or watching on Spotify. Let me know down below in the comment section which one you liked the most. But in today's podcast episode, we are actually going to talk about MEM and MEM 2.0. So if you're new to the PKM space, MEM probably had the best promise of any productivity application, and MEM was actually the second application I started using, and I used it for a long while. I think it was the longest I've used a productivity application, and this was back before I made content on productivity applications. So it might just be that I didn't know of too many applications, but I actually used it for a long time, and I think it deserved praise back then. We're talking like right after the pandemic, 3 years or so. It is now. That was when I was using MEM, probably around 3 years, but I think it was really good back then, and it was still new, so I gave it a lot of slack. But now things have changed a little bit. Like, it isn't as easy to break through in the productivity market, and also the fact that MEM now has competition in that field. So we have things like you have Reflect, which has been around for a few years now, but you have Tana, which offers a lot of the same things and is actually trying to become a lot of what it looks like MEM is trying to become. But because I've recently tested out the MEM 2.0, the video on that will be coming out a day or two after this podcast episode, if you're watching the video. So a couple of days from now, it will be out. But I tried it out, and it seems like they're going for more of a. They've changed the name of that related notes feature, which they had previously, which was basically a way for you to, when you're writing a note, you would see a bunch of your other notes on a right sidebar. And I saw that they've changed the name of that, and they are now calling it Copilot. And I think they're going more towards having more of an AI assistant based on your notes, which I think a lot of productivity applications will do in the future. But Tana is doing almost exactly the same thing. So I think that's the main competition that MEM has, is Tana. And I really like the new interface, but here comes my main point. I think MEM has a lot to do before it can sort of win back the people that first jumped into MEM and invested in MEM. I think they have a lot of work to do, and I think that this was an alpha I tested, so the application MEM 2.0 isn't fully out yet, and there were a few bugs which you will also see in the video, and I've experienced some more after that, and uh, I I've seen a few bugs, and that is to be expected. I think a lot of people think that alpha applications or beta applications does not have any bugs, because things like Tana, for example, in alpha felt much better than most of the applications I've tested out that were fully out. So I think that has set the expectation sort of too high. But I saw a few bugs, and I think I this is my personal thoughts, but I think they are releasing it too fast. I think they would need more time, but on the other hand, there isn't more time to get, because all of these other applications are developing so fast. So if we go back to 2019, 2020, 2021, 2, 3. we didn't have any major competitions. If you wanted, or any major competitors, if you wanted AI note taking and the ability for AI to connect your notes together, to talk to your notes, there was just one choice. You couldn't go to Notion and purchase Q&A. You couldn't go to Tana and start using that. You couldn't use Reflect. You couldn't use all of these chatbot applications which are now out, like MeBot, for example. Fabric is another one. Those weren't real option. Like, you had Mem and you had MyMind, which did auto tagging. And I think those have really different use cases, MyMind and Mem. But there wasn't any competition, so Mem had a lot of time to actually develop. Now there is so much competition that they need to get something out. They need to sort of show to people in the productivity and PKM space, and also to their investors, that they are actually developing something, they are making something. At least that's what I'm thinking. I think that they're at a point where they need to push something out. And I'm not saying that the MEM 2.0 is terrible in alpha. I actually think that it is quite good. And that's what I said. I said that in my video, that it is quite good, but it has some minor issues I would like them to fix. So I think it's quite good, but I still think that it needed a little bit more development, a little bit more testing before it got out. But on the other hand, like I'm discussing with myself here, on the other hand, you could go on and you could develop this forever without it being perfect. But there is this thing, and I think Evernote has some of the same issues with the AI, that push out. They push out updates with bugs in them, and sort of unfinished updates. Then they go back and fix them later, just to push out something to show that we're still here, we are still in it. And back to the last video or podcast episode I made about expectations and updates. I think people expect them to develop quite fast. I think that we would rather have unfinished. At least I think that's what a lot of people feel like. I would rather have an application like deliver an unfinished update and go back and fix it, than to have to wait several months just to see some sort of life from that application. But my main point here is that MEM has, like the PKM and note-taking space has lost a lot of faith in MEM, because for years now they haven't been able to develop something we like. Like I talked about this with Walling as well. If your application has an issue with copy and pasting and you're a note-taking application, then we have a huge problem if you can't do something as basic as copy and pasting. And that was one of the major issues I had with Mem, was the copy and paste thing. And also the fact that you couldn't title your notes. And once I titled my notes, things sort of broke from time to time. I had many issues. I think the titling has gotten a lot better. I'm not sure if I really like it yet. Like Mem 2.0, I'm not sure if I really like it, but I think it is a much better experience. That is how I'm going to put it. Because there is what I personally think about it, and there is like this objective, how would people feel about this? How would note takers feel about this? Because I have specific note taking needs just like anyone else. So I tried to like not be not talk from my, or not put my review out from my own point of view, but more like from everyone else's point of view, and try to be as generic and general about it as possible. And like I think that Mem 2.0 is a good application, or not good, but much better than it was. I still think it is a way to go to get to the level of something like Reflect, or something like Tana. Even I think Tana is a little bit better as well. I do like the fact that they've So at least I saw that in their Slack community that they have now said that Android application isn't a priority. I'm really thankful for that. I like applications being honest about those things. So my general thoughts on this is that I think that MEM 2.0 is quite good, but I think they need to deliver something a little bit more before I can say that MEM is back, because I don't think they are yet. And that is just me being kind of skeptical towards MEM because it is what it is and it has had the issues it has. And it's always like that. Like if you have tried to develop an application and you've failed a little bit and people have paid for it and they've been unhappy, the second time you try, you need to prove yourself. And I think MEM is going in the direction of proving themselves. So I am still like really excited about this update. I think the main idea here is that it feels like they've finally figured out what they want to be, what kind of note-taking app do they want to be. Like, just to take a few examples, like Tools just wants to be a place for you to write things down. Like Reflect wants to be this graph-based note-taking experience that is much simpler than Obsidian. Obsidian has a huge focus on privacy and it wants to be as customizable as possible. There are these ideas of applications knowing what they want to become. And then you have Mem on the other side who did not until now, it feels like, know what is the point of MEM? Why do we need this application? So my final thoughts on this is that I think it's a huge step in the right direction, but I still think that they need to do a little bit more to win back the trust of the productivity and PKM community. But I definitely think they are going in the right direction. As usual, thank you so much for listening and watching today's podcast. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below and I will try to get to them as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching today's podcast episode.